All right. So good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 College of Nursing Award presentation and celebration. It's really wonderful to see people here in person as well as those of you on Zoom. For anyone who does not know me, my name is Dr. Eileen Collins, and I'm honored that this meaningful event today is my first event as your dean, as your new dean, and the dean of the College of Nursing. You know, when I became dean earlier this month, I knew that I would be consistently invited to represent the college at important events such as this. But I just can't tell you how meaningful it is to represent the college at this event, because it's an event where we celebrate each other. And it's an event where we're amongst our friends and family, and at least part of us are here in person. So that's wonderful. The excellence that we're celebrating today in research, in practice, in our efforts to enrich diversity and lift each other up is really the very reason that I wanted to be dean of this great college. So thank you for joining me today on this happy occasion and celebrating the recipients of our four most distinguished awards that we offer in the College of Nursing. The Distinguished Researcher Award recognizes outstanding contributions to nursing science and research. The Julian Mark Zerwick Diversity Award recognizes significant contributions to support diversity and foster equity and inclusion. The Distinguished Mentor of the Faculty Award recognizes outstanding mentorship and contributions to faculty mentorship. And the Judy Lloyd Storefell Distinguished Award for Scholarly Practice recognizes outstanding contributions to nursing practice. We are delighted to have Dr. Judy Storefell with us today on Zoom as we carry forth her legacy by recognizing a faculty member who has made an outstanding contribution to nursing practice. Also with us today, we're honored to have Dean Emerita Terry Weaver. Welcome back, Terry. We're glad that you could join us. Because our 2020 UIC Nursing Award presentation and celebration was held virtually last year due to the global pandemic, Dean Weaver didn't get the chance to present the awards physically to our honored recipients. So today, before we move on to recognizing our 2021 awardees, I have the honor of presenting the physical award to one of our distinguished recipients on behalf of Dean Weaver. That recipient is the 2020 Distinguished Mentor of the Faculty Award, and it's Dr. McFarlin. Barbara, would you mind coming up?
Too many. Yeah. Oh. No.
We'll now proceed to recognizing the recipients of our 2021 awards. As the immediate past Associate Dean for Research, I'm delighted to present the Distinguished Researcher Award here for the College of Nursing. As I mentioned earlier, the Distinguished Researcher Award recognizes outstanding contributions to nursing science and research. This is a college that's known amongst our peers for excellence in research. So this Distinguished Researcher Award is really a big deal. The body of research that comes from our college is broad and deep. Our scholars are looking at health from every level, whether it starts at the cell, to the person, or to the community, all the way through to health systems and policy. Our college is currently ranked number 3 among public universities for funding from the NIH. Our current emeriti faculty includes 7 inductees from the Sigma Theta Tau International Nurse Researcher Hall of Fame and 6 living legends of the American Academy of Nursing. That's all to say that to receive the Distinguished Researcher Award among this group of scholars is truly significant and a real achievement. So this year, we are celebrating our 7th annual Distinguished Researcher Award recipient, a scientist who truly embodies excellence in research and practice. She's been awarded 15 extramural grants and 2 NIH F31s for some of her predoctoral fellows, totaling more than $7 million in funding as a PI, a co-I, a mentor, or a co-mentor. Her research has been funded by 4 institutes from the National Institutes of Health: the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, National Center for Research Resources, the National Institute for Nursing Research, the National Institute of Biomedical Imaging and Bioengineering. She's also been funded by the Department of Defense, the American Institute of Ultrasound and Medicine, the March of Dimes, and the Burroughs Wellcome Research Fund. To quote her nomination letter, she is a stellar and innovative scientist whose work has already had an enormous impact on healthcare for patients nationally and internationally. She is a prolific scholar who generously shares her knowledge and talents in multidisciplinary arenas to advance the science guiding obstetrical healthcare. Please join me in congratulating our 7th annual Distinguished Researcher Award recipient, Dr. Barbara McFarlin. Yes.
Thank you. Let's see, where is mine? Well, first of all, good afternoon, and it's really nice to see everybody here again. I'm kind of sick of Zoom by now. So I'm really happy to be here. And I first want to thank my nominators who have worked with me through all my years. I came on faculty in 2005. And before that, I did my PhD here and my PhD research in Urbana with Dr. O'Brien, who's here today. And I really want to say thank you to everybody. When I was debating about what to talk about today, I have to tell you, for the time they gave me, there wasn't enough time to tell you all about all of my research. So I am going to just talk about some things today. Let's see, yeah. And the reason I stand here today is because of all of you, because of you, UIC, my mentors. And I am a 3-timer at the UIC College of Nursing. Every time I got a degree, can you hear me? Okay. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh. And this is really true. What UIC has meant to me my whole life and my opportunities is really amazing. Every time I came back here for a degree, I went away for a while until I received my PhD, and then I stayed on as faculty. But I want to tell you something that you probably don't know, is that I actually started getting the bug, and I was introduced to research here. And these are the people who have been my mentors through all my time from undergrad to graduate, and also faculty that have helped me and really advised me to put my career forward. Now, I know you're going to have a hard time believing this, but I knew Kathy Knorr, who's a professor emeritus here, in 1971. I took an independent study with Kathy and her husband in sociology, and I helped on a study of childbirth preparation. At that time, in 1971, I was 19 years old. And I think Kathy was not attending in person today, but she's on Zoom. And I know it's hard to believe, since I look so young, that, but it is hard for me to believe that so much time has gone by. And then when I came back here for my master's degree in midwifery, I was taught by Joyce Roberts and Jan Engstrom, and Jan was my advisor. And during my 2 years for my master's, I didn't only do my thesis, but I did a few more research studies, and that's when I learned ultrasound. And I learned ultrasound from Milo Simpson, who is an MFM over in the hospital. And I have no idea why I was interested in it, but it really set me on a course for my career and my love. And so not only did we do 3 studies, but at the end of my master's, we had 4 publications. So that was, they really got me going. And then in 2005, I came back here for my PhD. And I knew I wanted to come back to UIC because I knew about the bioacoustics research lab in Urbana. And I wanted to combine my 2 loves, ultrasound and looking at the cervix for predicting preterm birth. And I got that idea from my years of practice as a nurse midwife and a sonographer in my practice. So before I entered the PhD, I had 18 pubs and 13 database. So you really see the impact that UIC had on me, even as a master's prepared nurse. I sought out collaborators and we got our work published. In fact, one of my publications was actually the basis for the CDC changing the guidelines for syphilis treatment during pregnancy. Rosemary White Trout and Bill O'Brien. Bill is here. I hope Rosemary's on Zoom. They both said, well, you got to write your F31. And when I help students now write an F31, it's a big undertaking. And she had me and Bill write it in my first semester of the PhD program. I didn't get it my first time around, but by the next summer, I was awarded the F31. And that was just wonderful because I was able to work a lot less as a nurse midwife. And the other thing is that not very many people go the route of conducting animal research and human research. And that's what I learned here at UIC from the veterinarians and then in Bill's lab. And in Bill's lab, he's had a Rita Miller, who's a vet working there. And she taught me so much on handling the animals because I really had a rodent phobia and I was afraid of them. But I'm happy to say that I never got bit. And although when I had to learn inhalation anesthesia, one of my rats did not survive my anesthesia. And my dissertation study was on quantitative ultrasound and of the cervix. And when I came to Bill, I said, oh, can you write a program just about quantifying the grayscale in the ultrasound image? And he said, oh no, we got a much better way. So I conducted the quantitative ultrasound on the rat's cervix. And what we did is that we euthanized them, and then I scanned the rat's cervix, and we did histology and biochemistry on the specimen. And what we found that quantitative ultrasound was related to the collagen in the cervix, the water content, and the gestational age of the pregnant rat. So I was quite happy. So the next thing was that Julie Zerwick, who's probably online there, taught me during my PhD studies. And she contacted me when she knew I was coming on faculty. And she said, oh, we have an NIH P30 grant. You should write that this summer. And I did. And so when I started out as a new faculty member in September, I had funding from the P30 to conduct the next study. And my mentors really helped me plot out what was necessary to do to bring this research to for use in humans. And so, you know, with the first study I did, it was ex vivo scanning of the rat's cervix. But in the next one with the P30 grant, we did in vivo. And so we had to go through many iterations of the little vaginal probe transducer there. And you see there's my rat undergoing a scan. And they have to be anesthetized because they do not like the vaginal exam at all. Yeah. And then I just want to tell you a little bit about what tissue characterization is with quantitative ultrasound. And in my field, in OBGYN, they feel, oh, we'll measure the length of the cervix. And the cervix tends to get shorter before you go into labor and deliver. But it's about a 50-50 chance of that being predictive. So it's not a very good measure. So I hypothesized that what I wanted to do is try to quantify this grayscale in here, and that's the tissue of the cervix and collagen. So this is a human cervix though. And what we do is take the scan and then we use raw data, raw ultrasound data. And first we trace around the cervix. And then when it's processed, we have all these small sub-ROIs, regions of interest. And we then obtain information about the tissue properties from each of those. And we went through many iterations, but we decided to take a mean of the whole cervix. And that has been related to collagen content, collagen disorganization and water, as well as gestational age. Now, even before Susan Feetham came here, my mentors told me, you got to have a plan. You're not just applying for pilot funding for the fun of it and just to be able to conduct research, but every step along the way went to the next study. And so we had pilot data from in vivo rat, and then we measured in vivo rat cervix on a repeated measures design during pregnancy. So that's where I had to learn to give anesthesia. And then I was very lucky. They said, you got to apply for the CCTS KL2 award. And it was good for me because I did not do a postdoc. I thought I was too old. And in fact, I think I'm the oldest students Bill and Rosemary ever had. So I consider myself very lucky. So when I got the CCTS award, I had enough money to buy a human ultrasound machine. And from there, I received 2 ART-21s, and we did a proof of concept study that, and my mother's always said to me, who designed that study, Barbara? Because I scanned women over at Rush in labor and delivery before they got a cervical ripening agent applied for induction of labor, and then 12 hours later. Well, I thought it would always be around 8 and 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., 8 a.m. But I was there night and day, a lot of times at 4 a.m. And so that study was a lot of work. But that again showed proof of concept that we could detect changes in the cervical ripening within 12 hours with using a prostaglandin agent that is normally used in labor. And then also from the CCTS, I had a group of women that I scanned 5 times during pregnancy in a repeated measures design to look at the natural history of cervical remodeling. And we found that 17 to 21 weeks of pregnancy was the optimal time. And then I had a lot of applications for RO1s that they just, it was hard to get them to understand the technology. Finally, when I was awarded the RO1, it went to a medical imaging study section, and they finally praised us. And they said that you did all the groundwork from animal studies, tissue histology, to lay the groundwork to translate this work to humans. And I'm toward the end of this 5-year RO1. We're doing a no-cost extension right now. And our goal is to recruit and scan 800 women during pregnancy and then see if to match up the ultrasound with the day they deliver. Now, if my advisors also told me it's good to have some complementary lines of work. So I work with another group of engineers in Urbana, and these are biomechanical engineers. And so we did biomechanical testing on the rat cervix, and we had to develop all the instrumentation for that in a 3D printer. One of their PhD students who worked on bridge failure wanted to translate some of his finite element modeling to cervical failure. And he did finite element modeling on how the cervix changes to deliver. And then finally, we're still doing this study where we do nano indentation in the rat cervix at different gestational ages during pregnancy. And then we can actually quantify in the rat cervix the collagen remodeling, the content and the disorganization with second harmonic imaging. And this is just a beautiful picture, so image showing the collagen in the cervix. You see. And finally, I couldn't include all the stuff we're doing. We're doing great stuff also with students right now with their F31s. But last year there was a last minute call for administrative supplements to R01s from NICHD. And one of my passions was one of my passions is really keeping African-American women safe during the postpartum period, because usually after they deliver, they don't go back and see the doctor or the midwife for 4 to 6 weeks. And if they go into heart failure or have a hypertensive crisis or an infection, nobody would know it. So I'm collaborating with a group from Georgia Tech. And this is not exactly how our device looks, but it's going to have the capability to remotely monitor pulse oximetry, respiration, heart rate variability, and EKG. And this is an example when the algorithm, it can give us feedback then about what's abnormal, and then we need to contact the patient. They're using deep learning algorithms to come up with this. And I'm proud to say that Phoenix is a co-I on that project, as well as Judy. And we're not only looking at the patch, but we're looking at a multidimensional approach during that 4 weeks for depression, racism, anxiety, and we're also doing very serious education. So once a week or more, we will Zoom the patient and talk to them and see what their concerns are and see how they're doing. So that's just a little inkling. And when I was putting this together, I have to say that UIC has had a great impact on my career. And also, who would think at my age that I can still do very, very interesting work that's impactful. So I thank all of you for that, and especially my mentors. Oh, is this mine too?
Welcome and good afternoon. Barbara, that was wonderful. Thank you for talking about that. Thank you, Terry. Got it. Okay. I am Susan Corbridge. I'm the Executive Associate Dean here in the College of Nursing. And it is my great, great honor today to be able to introduce our next practice award. I am so very honored to introduce Dr. Sue Walsh, who is the recipient of the 6th Judith Lloyd Storefell Distinguished Award for Scholarly Practice, which recognizes outstanding contributions to nursing practice. And I do have to say, I know Dr. Storefell is on Zoom today, and it's just, you know, such a great honor to have had worked with Judy Storefell here when she was here at the College of Nursing, and this award is just such a great honor for practice and everything that she has done. It is a significant accomplishment to be recognized for scholarly practice at UIC Nursing due to the many achievements and dedication of all of our faculty. Thanks to the excellence of our clinical faculty, many of whom maintain their own clinical practice, our DNP program is now ranked number 2 in the Midwest and number 9 overall. And I also, so that's yes. And with that, thank you to all of our fabulous faculty who continue to contribute to the great educational mission for our practice students. Our faculty includes 29 faculty members who are fellows in the American Academy of Nursing, 2 fellows of the American College of Nurse Midwives, And we now have 8 fellows of the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners. And I have to say, on a personal note, one of my great things that I just feel so proud of is that I've been able to sponsor the other 7 fellows of the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners. And 2 of them were just honored this weekend. Lauren Basic and Carolyn Dickens were just inducted. So this year's Judith Lloyd Storefell Award recipient is truly deserving of this very prestigious recognition due to her incredibly impactful service and contributions to UIC nursing students, practice, and our community overall. And I have to say also personally, I've worked with Sue for 20 years, and it has just been an absolutely wonderful ride with you, Sue. In addition to maintaining a clinical practice for over 35 years, focused on serving diverse and vulnerable pediatric populations and their families, and providing primary health care for all, including practices at our own University of Illinois, Chicago College of Nursing, practice in Humboldt Park, as well as you were also at Integrated Health prior to when we became Miles Square. And she is now also at Altus Academy in our faculty practice. Sue also serves as director of the Pediatric Nurse Practitioner, both acute and primary care programs, so she has her hands very full. And she is also an associate director of the Global Health Leadership Office. And one thing I have to say about Sue is that anytime if a student needs something or if a patient needs to be seen, she never says no. She's always there helping out, and she's the first to show up for volunteer opportunities, and just is an absolutely wonderful and amazing practitioner as well as an overall person. She's also a scholar with over 20 scholarly articles and over 30 scholarly presentations. She's a phenomenal leader in community service and outreach, as reflected by her founding of Little by Little, non-for-profit, and also serving as the coordinator of healthcare capacity for a community clinic in Haiti. Sue has taken many of our students over the year to Haiti. I was always too afraid to go with her, but she, although it would have been fabulous. And someday I will go with you. I would love to do that. And she, you know, the students that have gone to Haiti with Sue come back just with the most amazing stories of how she impacts all of the individuals that they take care of. Her contributions to the success of our students and practice are also incredibly significant. To quote 2 of her nomination letters, since 2014, Sue has served as faculty mentor for over 40 DNP students and has helped guide 6 student publications and 7 student professional poster presentations. She serves as an exemplar role model for influencing nursing practice, improving health outcomes, developing a multitude of programs, and serving as a great mentor and nurse leader. This is demonstrated by many of the roles she takes on in her practice and through the entire College of Nursing. So please join me in congratulating our 2021 Judith Lloyd Storefell Distinguished Award for Scholarly Practice recipient, Dr. Sue Walsh.
I just tell Susan, how do I talk after that? Anybody that knows me knows that I cry at a drop of a hat. So I'm going to try and compose myself while I find my PowerPoint. While it's twirling. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, you can.
Can you hear us now? On Zoom, can you hear us?
Okay.
Yep.
But Agatha assured me that I could do it. And so together with the help of my stalwart husband, Brian, raise your hand. He's in the picture with me with my little nursing hat. Back then we had nursing hats. I see my friend Patty on Zoom. Remember our wings hats? I felt like the flying nun in my hat. Brian and I were married my last year of nursing school. So he's in this with me from the beginning. So together with him and my three very savvy, computer savvy kids, Brad, Maggie, Kyle, they helped me. And Brad at that point was able to drive, hooray, he could take the kids around. And amazing faculty and student friends here at UIC. So I graduated and became a PMP. And then we celebrated with this nice family skiing trip. Okay, now it won't advance. So when I graduated with my PMP, Dr. Campbell, a wonderful pediatrician who was also my preceptor, asked me to join his practice as a new PMP grad, which I did, and I quickly became a preceptor for UIC students while working in that practice for 15 years. From that moment on, thanks to Linnea Mead, who I know is here, I cannot remember a time I did not have a UIC PMP student with me in all my practice settings. The students and I have learned a lot together, and we've provided a lot of primary care together. Thank you, Linnea, for being such a wonderful support to me in practice all these many, many years. I love you. At my first faculty meeting, Linnea Mead introduced me to Bev McElmurray, who's a legend here at the college, who shared with me her innovative school linked project via a Visiting Nurses Association grant to develop a school linked health program for students at Josephina Academy who did not have health care. When more advanced care was needed, other than what I could provide at the school health office, I would care for the students at our community linked partner facility, which was Erie Teen Family Health Center. Together, we treated the girls for STIs and other infections, asthma, chronic diseases. We linked them to social services and specialty care. And together, we made primary health care available to many uninsured teens for many years, both during and post grant funding. We continue to provide health surveillance and health literacy programming there. Similarly, together with Ross Arena, who is the department head of physical therapy here at UIC, and our amazing College of Nursing faculty practice team, previously led by Charlie Yingling. Now I'm getting wonderful assistance from Virginia Rising with her expertise and leadership, along with Sharice Franklin, who's the executive director of faculty practice, and Gina Giuliano, who's a PMP extraordinaire, and other colleagues and providers at Miles Square Humboldt Park. Together, we, as DMPs, with our DMP students, are doing so much. We have created a new model of primary health care for children attending school at Altus Academy, a grade school just 1 mile west from here. And we're providing basic health surveillance with a sustained group of DMP FMP students for who I precept in an off-site, on-site model for telehealth care for immunizations, illness, chronic disease, specialty care, social services. Families are then linked to the providers at Miles Square Humboldt Park Nurse-Led Clinic. My faculty practice at Miles Square Humboldt Park is about caring deeply for kids and their families, learning more about trauma-informed care, and caring for 21-year-old young man with diabetes and a blood glucose level over 500. I learned he had been adjudicated from Cook County Jail only days before. He reported he forgot to fill his insulin prescription and did not get supplies when he was released. I worked with his parole officer to get his insulin prescription and supplies, and we medically stabilized him, connected him with social services, and together we got this young man back on a good health and well-being path. Following this experience, I learned more about the juvenile justice system. Together with healthcare and programming administrators from the Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center, Jen Obrecht, Rebecca Singer, and many UIC nursing students and UIC professional interprofessional students, we developed an ongoing health literacy program for the detained youth, which also serves as clinical practicum for both master's and doctoral students. Together, we have done so much by collaborating with the youth and staff at JTDC. Now, going back a few years, in February 2006, connections were made via dear friends, Julian and Joe Fuller, with a small clinic in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. My husband, Brian, and I, along with Vanda Marsh, who is a graduate here and PNP extraordinaire, Marcia Favalli, who's a physician, David Vanderplu, who's a really good friend of ours and a police officer who joined our team to keep us safe, and 2 PNP students, Cindy Reese and Laura McClelland. So together with our Haitian friends and interpreters, we provided primary care for approximately 500 patients at Mountaintop Ministries, our partners in Haiti, that first week and the first time we moved there. Not moved there, provided care there. I wish we could move there. We became motivated to return. And I, believe me, could go on and on for hours and years telling stories about our work in Haiti, but that's not what this is about. The following year, as Barbara mentioned, and as Susan mentioned, we together created little by little a nonprofit organization which continues to provide 4 anchor teams annually to Mountaintop Ministries. We also support the pharmacy system there, the formulary, the inventory, and when I mean support, we organize it and we financially support it. Point of care, lab testing and supplies, ultrasound and an ultrasound technician, APRNs, and medical providers. Now, everybody that goes is a volunteer, so we don't pay the providers, but we do raise money for all the supplies that are needed to keep the clinic going. So many thanks to Linda McCreary and Tina Kavakatu, who guided the development of our memorandum of understanding and a university sanctioned process for faculty and student registration to participate in this valuable service learning practicum. Anybody that knows that story that's here might remember some of the challenges we had in, Eileen's shaking her head, yes. It was a real challenge to get this sanctioned by the university. And Tina and Linda McCreary, of course, worked so hard. And Terry, how do I even talk to you about what went on under your leadership and the heart attack, shall I say, that I've given you over the years? Thank you for putting up with me. At times I thought maybe I wouldn't be faculty anymore. So I have appreciated you so very much for your support. Thank you. An abundance of gratitude to our colleagues as well, our practice colleagues, Charlie Yingling, Karen Kotler, Gina Giuliano, Robin Johnson, who I see you. Hey, Robin. Tracy Ogden, Susan Vonderheide, Mary Puchowski, Karen Roberts, Kirby Edlam, Patrick Thornton, Inger Anthony, and many UIC students, grads, pharmacy students join us on these teams. Along with my amazing husband, stand up, Brian, Nothing would be without this man. When I first proposed this to him, it's like, he's a carpenter. He's a master carpenter. He said, Susie, you are not going to Haiti. And I just looked at him. He goes, okay, then I'll go with you. Like that's the man from day one. Yes, please. So always together with our Haitian partners. Don't ever let me ever not mention that. It's because of our Haitian partners that together we have done and will continue to do so much. So superhero caring occurred January 12th, 2010, when the historic and devastating earthquake hit Port-au-Prince, Haiti, killing over 250,000 people. And that does not include the 10 to 15,000 people who died from cholera following the earthquake. The earthquake happened the last day of our clinic time at Mountaintop Ministries at 5 p.m. as we were descending the mountain toward the guest house to pack up for departing flight the following morning. Many heroes donned their capes that fatal day. Weeks, months, and years to follow, including our team who became first responders for 5 days post-earthquake, until a FEMA plane came to deport all remaining Americans. We've seen that recently, the FEMA planes coming in to deport. Well, yeah, we were on one of those big cargo planes. Together with so many angels, we did so much. Again, I could go on and on about this. The pictures here, the painting is one of my dear friends who post-earthquake painted beautiful, beautiful oils from pictures that we have from Haiti and sold them and raised so much money for our earthquake effort. And then I wrote a book. So if anybody's interested in hearing more about the Haitian stories and the earthquake, it's Walking in Broken Shoes. And the picture on the cover of the book shows the children with, if you look close, they all have really bad looking Crocs. And it's the Crocs that we bring, and because the worms travel through the children's feet where they have little fissures, and then the ovum circulate, and that's one way that they get worms besides ingesting. And so when we see kids with bad shoes, we really want to help them. And so that's where that came from. It's on Amazon if you're interested. So working together to further inform caring for mother-infant dyads in Haiti, with the collaboration of colleagues and friends, Kathy Knorr, Linda McCreary, Leslie Cortes, stand up, my dear friend, pediatrician and friend extraordinaire, and my partner in all things research. She has a master's in public health as well, and she does all the regression charts and all the everything else that are way over my head. So it's good to have you here, and all the years that you've supported me as well. Along with our partners in Haiti, Lance Hippolyte, Gina Sanker, and the Haitian Ministry of Health, and the staff at the nonprofit organization Global Health Action, who supports 60 community health workers on the ground in Petit Goâve, Haiti. And unfortunately, that's the area that was hit with the most recent earthquake. We studied traditional cord care practices and barriers of early initiation of breastfeeding among Haitian mothers. So what we found in our couple years of doing this research, we found that unhygienic cord care practices were eliminated 98% of the 200 mother-infant dyads that we studied, which was huge. We learned the things that they were putting on the cord care through focus groups that we did prior to this, that determined that they were putting cow dung, poultices made from all kinds of things, ash from the threshold of their homes, etc., on the vulnerable cords, because they believed that the evil spirits enter the infant's body through the cord and through the fontanelles on the head. So you never see an infant baby without a hat on their head. And usually they have abdominal bindings. So this is what a bad abdominal binding looks like. Infectious, cow dung lightly, etc. And then this is what we are seeing now and what we saw after. So we did get them to understand it was post-earthquake, it was post-cholera. So they understood germs. They were learning about germs. And so it was a perfect time to bring this up to them. And so they understood and they stopped, up 98% stopped putting the noxious things on the cords. So we were very pleased with that. And then Leslie is also an expert in breastfeeding, and we studied prelactal feeds, as we know are complicating exclusive breastfeeding. And the interesting things that we found that they were feeding the babies were something as simple as boiling candy in water, and they were giving that, along with all kinds of other things that you can imagine. So exclusive breastfeeding, now when we're in the clinic, we see that many mothers are exclusive breastfeeding to the point where they don't stop breastfeeding and the kids don't eat and all they're getting is breastfeeding. So now sometimes we have to counteract that. And then University of West Indies, taking a different shift, University of West Indies, St. Augustine, Trinidad and Tobago, invited Kathy Bryan and myself to provide 2 evidence-based practice workshops focused on community health nurses to promote their role in university healthcare and primary healthcare. So each nurse came prepared to identify a health problem that was increasing in frequency and morbidity in their clinical setting. They learned the process of identifying evidence of best practices and developed a targeted project to apply these practices to solve workplace problems. They identified varying evidence-based practice approaches to promoting client self-management and developed a plan for implementation. The participants provided quartile reports to Kathy Ryan and myself to review the progress of their projects, and we provided feedback. So the participants formally presented their projects to their supervisors in a closing ceremony and the end of the first workshop and received unanimous support for implementation. After a year of implementation, at the end of the second workshop, participants developed follow-up presentations to inform and collaborate their respective supervisors to ensure sustainability of each project. So with our friends and colleagues in Trinidad and Tobago, together we learned and do so much for so many. And then COVID-19 roared into everyone's spring. I would have rather that the lion roared in than COVID-19. But UIC's amazing, bright and bold university health systems innovators quickly created attestations, symptom monitoring, and a phone triage system for all employees and students to identify, quarantine, contact trace, and care for those with COVID symptoms and illness. I had the pleasure and privilege to collaborate with University Health Systems phone triage leaders to develop a phone triage process, protocol, training, and supervision for so many UIC nursing faculty and students, like AKA many of you, many of you. Faculty and students immediately responded to the urgent request to fill the critical need for volunteers, serving with grace and patience throughout the constantly changing work process and decision trees. Everyone was kind and supportive during each call made to a concerned employee who was unnerved by exposure or symptoms of COVID illness. So thank you. Together we did so much. And then of course, Charlie Yingling, who I miss desperately, did his amazing math wizards, and he did the math. I told him that 71 faculty participated, 57 Doctor of Nursing students participated in spring, 36 in summer, In fall 15, we have pre-licensure students in fall, number 24. And he did the numbers, and the hours were just in the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. I didn't want to bother putting that up here, but it was astounding, the number of volunteer hours that everyone provided. So thank you. Together, we truly did so much. So everybody, I can't even tell you how many people more than what I said have participated so much in everything that I do. You know, when you're in practice, you're not in isolation. You don't have a practice unless others are there with you. And like I mentioned, I don't really do anything without a student. So together, thank you everyone. Together we have done so much. And thank you. Now my husband, this is us on the four-wheeler in Haiti. So without you, I could do nothing.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Phoenix Matthews. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Associate Dean for Equity and Inclusion and also proud faculty member here at the College of Nursing. I have the honor of presenting this award, this year's awardee of the Julian Mark Zurich Diversity Award. It's an annual award to recognize an individual who has made a significant contribution to support diversity and foster equity and inclusion within the department, college, university, and/or community. It's named after Julie Zurich, who had a 24-year career here at the College of Nursing. She was our inaugural Chief Diversity Officer and was very instrumental in setting us on our current path towards sustained efforts towards equity and inclusion. Past recipients have been Sharice Jackson, Elaine Hardy, and this year's recipient is Alicia Hart. Alicia Hart's program of research is focused on the reduction of end-of-life health inequalities among Black patients and families impacted by Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. As a nurse interventionist and research assistant at the National Institute of Health funded study, okay, where was I? All right. As a research assistant on the National Institute of Health funded study, PI Gloria Bonner, she has collaborated with church organizations located in underrepresented neighborhoods across Chicago to render dementia education to congregants and surrounding community members. As a nurse practitioner at a prominent memory center in Illinois, she has worked alongside experts in behavioral neurology to improve clinical dementia knowledge in diverse settings. She was a doctoral student here at UIC who graduated in 2019 and also served for a year as a Bridges to Faculty Fellow. Unfortunately, Dr. Hart has experienced a significant health challenge and is not able to be here to receive her award today. So she has prepared some remarks, which I will share with you today. Now being Alicia. It is with great pleasure that I accept the Julie and Mark Zurich Award. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Dean Collins, Dr. Matthews, and the Associate Dean for Equity and Inclusion, and the Diversity Committee members for their support. It is an honor and privilege to be recognized as someone who's made a significant contribution to support diversity and foster equity and inclusion. For me, I try to stay connected to social justice work that feels right, work that feels like it's taking us a step forward, no matter how small the action. My motivation for this work is rooted in my existence as a Black nurse, Black woman and nurse. I was raised by a single grandparent and am a first-generation higher education graduate. I grew up in a resource-poor neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, where I experienced how poverty restricts access to resources and opportunities firsthand. I committed myself to be a survivor of marginalization at an early age. I decided to leverage my nursing experience to promote health and empower people who look like me with similar experiences. I started as a licensed practical nurse from Chicago Public Schools Practical Nursing Program, then received a BSN from St. Xavier, an MSN from DePaul University, and a PhD from the University of Illinois at Chicago. My journey has had many roadblocks, but despite many challenges, I've always felt a moral obligation to continue on a path that will allow me to be a change agent in my family and community. As a result of personal and academic experiences navigating systems and structures that create and perpetuate disparities, I am aware of the pervasive need for effective strategies that close gap in care and help end systemic racism in healthcare settings. My scholarship has focused on integrating theory to better understand the end-of-life decision processes of Black surrogate decision makers to inform future interventions. Further, my research experiences have included evaluating existing culturally targeted interventions for Black families, patients and families experiencing severe illness, developing improved advanced care models to address barriers, and to provide innovations in the healthcare systems. Additionally, I have studied how social, economic, and political factors associated with health disparities, including the association of adverse exposures with Alzheimer's disease risk. My unique interdisciplinary clinical training has shaped my long-term career goals, but never overshadowed an undying need to improve my conditions. Last year, I collaborated with the Urban Health Program and the Dean for Equity and Inclusion to develop and facilitate a 15-week pilot mentorship program for underrepresented minority students at UIC. As a part of the pilot program, we provided support for 20 students. We evaluated a strength-based approach to eliminate the adverse effects of historical marginalization on academic achievements among Black and Latinx students. The goal was to expand the program beyond nursing to include the 6 other health sciences colleges which comprise the Urban Health Program at UIC. As a part of my career goals, I am committed to lead efforts such as the Urban Health Program, mentorship program to diversify the healthcare workforce in nursing and beyond. In June of 2020, I co-founded Black Nurses Matter, a nonprofit dedicated to fighting health disparities among Black communities. We have grown beyond tired and weary of structural violence, and with the murders of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd superimposed over a pandemic that was eradicating Black folks in disproportionate numbers, I knew something had to be done. We wanted to empower and amplify the voices of Black nurses and organize and mobilize the nursing community to actively pursue racial and social justice. In our inception, Black Nurses Matter collaborated with the National Action Network and the NAACP to organize a march on Washington. There were over 200,000 individuals who gathered that day to protest against racism, police brutality, and health inequality in the Commitment March. Get your knees off our necks. And the Black nurses take Washington's mark, collaborative effort. Our combined activism was focused on anti-racism and health equality with the ultimate goal of eliminating systemic and structural racism across all aspects of the healthcare system. Part of that activism is to improve the health and well-being of minority communities disproportionately impacted by health inequalities. The network has grown to over 4,000 members in the past year and has a tripartite mission: patient advocacy, active resistance, and mentorship. This year, we organized 2 nationwide marches to protest health disparities. In August of 2021, we held a summit at Malcolm X College focused on maternal mortality in Black communities. We've heard from Barbara the important issues Chicago women face in those arenas. And we continue to collaborate with our communities to stay current and respond to issues that matter to them. We have collaborated with the experts in the College of Nursing to expand the Pipeline Mentorship Program and provide small scholarships for Black nursing students. To stay connected to current events, we have a vast social media presence, hold rallies, meetups, and collaborate with other national organizations. My involvement in social justice has a spiritual connection. I grew up in the church and honestly believe that hope and love are foundational to social justice work. Specifically, hope for justice, equality, and change. An unconditional love and the pursuit of justice for all. I collaborate and volunteer with church organizations often. Again, most of the work I do is collaborative because change is intentional, collaborative, and dynamic. I want to dedicate this award to my team in service. To my UIC College of Nursing team, Dr. Matthews, thank you for being an excellent role model. Therese Jackson, you give selflessly and tirelessly, and no amount of thank yous, Therese, would ever be enough. Ariel Smith, you're brilliant, and I'm so glad our paths have crossed. To Black Nurses Matter team, Ebony, Erica, Denise, and Lilia, I love you all and have so much work to do. To Dr. Tanya Robinson and Governor State Community Health Advisory Council, you are the truth. Thank you. On behalf of Alysha.
With the mask or without? Good afternoon, and I have to say it's very nice to see all of you, even behind your masks. I am Kamal Adirawi. I am the director of the College of Nursing Faculty Mentorship Program, and I am a faculty with the Department of Population Health Nursing Science. It is my distinguished honor and great pleasure to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Colleen Corte, the recipient of the College of Nursing 4th Distinguished Mentor of Faculty Award. This award recognizes a faculty member who has made outstanding and extraordinary contributions to faculty mentorship. Dr. Corte has a PhD in nursing and is a fellow in the American Academy of Nursing, as well as the Institute of Medicine. She joined UIC in 2004 and served as an associate department head, and then as a department head, in addition to serving as the director of the PhD program. Dr. Corte is a lifelong mentor, and that is clearly shown and demonstrated in many ways. For her outstanding mentorship, she has received several awards, such as the Greatest Mentor Award of the University of Michigan as early as 1998, and the Graduate College Mentoring Award from UIC in 2017. She has mentored numerous faculty, international scholars, and students, and her mentees assume leadership and faculty positions in various parts of the world. She was nominated not by 1 or 2 or 3, but by 7 faculty who provided ample examples demonstrating the depth, breadth, and impact of her mentorship. And let me just read some of the quotes we received. Dr. Jerry Gorman put it basically saying, Dr. Corte devoted countless hours to advising faculty at the expense of her own projects and scholarship. And Dr. Martha Berggren added, Colleen's taught me to mentor scores of faculty and professional colleagues. Her greatest achievement is that she created a legion of generous mentors who will follow her lead throughout their professional lives. And listen to this quote, I really found very, very touching. Colleen mentors as I imagine as she sails. She is the wind filling our sails and propelling us forward, as well as the hand on the rudder, making sure that we are successfully navigating the waters of our community. She will be sorely missed, but her legacy, the flotilla of those she has mentored will journey on. And this final quote almost brought tears to my eyes. The impending loss of this professional relationship of a mentor, colleague, and co-conspirator fills me with unanticipated grief. Yet this is quickly replaced with great joy when I consider that Colleen's last act as a mentor is to lead by example, to retire while still young and vibrant, to pursue her great love for sailing, to spend time with her new grandson, and quite simply to enjoy life to the fullest. I agree, and I am sure you all agree that Colleen is an extraordinary leader, an outstanding mentor, and a great colleague. She's most deserving of this prestigious award. Please join me in congratulating Colleen for this great honor.
Not sure if I had to share the screen. Oops. Okay, I think we have it. Thank you very much for this incredible honor. As you can tell by the title of my very brief presentation, I have a real passion for mentoring, and it brings me great joy when I see successes of people that I have worked with. So I'm very excited about this. I myself have had multiple mentors, and I have learned the importance of mentorship to one's success through these mentors. And I've also actually had some people that I've learned some things not to do in terms of mentoring. And I think both are actually really important. Not everybody likes mentoring or is good at it, I guess. There are different mentors for different things. I don't think people can have a single mentor. Maybe they have a primary mentor, but some mentors are more focused on the long view of a career. And they're not sort of in the weeds with you, but they have a longer view. And you also, I think I have had mentors on scholarship, so for writing, and they're more in the weeds, have been more in the weeds with me. Teaching has always been important to me, and I have tried to work with faculty to impress upon particularly new faculty the importance of the tripartite mission, and that teaching is really, really important. I think sometimes people focus or try to focus solely on scholarship, and while scholarship is important, teaching is also very important. And if you know me well, you know I have a passion for team-based learning. And I have worked with many faculty, given workshops and worked individually with people on that. And then when I moved into administration, which is something I actually never aimed to do, it sort of just happened. I needed mentoring, and I observed people, watched people, sought mentorship. And then in my role as department head, I have worked with associate heads, Martha Berggren, Virginia Rising, Wendy Bostwick, and so on. And so I really do have a passion for mentoring. And I think that for me, my experience is consulting with mentors with varying frequency, some mentors more than others, and of course, different types of mentors. My mentorship of faculty started in earnest when I was associate head in population health nursing science. I did, by default, group type mentoring. So people that were new faculty, I would meet with them monthly in a group. People who were going for their mid-probationary review, I'd work with them as a group. People that were going up for promotion, regardless of track and rank, I would work with them as a group, because there was always multiple of them. And I found that people really, they needed to be vulnerable because they were showing each other their work, but that it really was beneficial for people, at least I believe it was. And I found that I really developed a strong passion for mentorship in doing this. Then when I became department head, I had more, I had a broader focus in terms of needing to be responsible for the balance of the faculty and the department's scholarship, teaching, and service. And that's actually very humbling to think that you really have to take charge of the balance of somebody's scholarship, teaching, and service. And I recognized that different faculty have different strengths and different needs at different times. And so I was always struck if somebody would say, well, my teaching looks different than so-and-so's, or this looks different than somebody else's. And that is because everybody's different. Everybody has different strengths and different challenges and different needs at different times. And so I really worked very hard to try to make sure to sort of get it right. I didn't always get it right, but I always tried to get it right. And I would say as department head, a lot of my mentoring was behind the scenes, meaning that particularly people going up for promotion as an example, I always considered that to be one of the most, probably the most important thing that I did as department head was to work. It's a very lengthy process, as people who are going up for promotion know. But while people, complete their dossier and they write their statements and they have a paper preparer, the department head and staff actually work pretty tirelessly in the background, behind the scenes, to make sure that things look tight, right? And that the dossier looks tight, and there's appropriate external reviewers, and the external reviewers get their letters in, and the unit executive officer letter is written. And so the mentoring is more indirect, individual, but indirect, and definitely behind the scenes. But it always gives me great pleasure to see people then ultimately move forward. It just is really had given me great pleasure. And mentoring really has been a source of great joy for me. When it's beyond promotion, I'm talking about when people, faculty, junior faculty, get an award, they get publication that they've been working on, they get policy pushed through for the governor to sign, like Rebecca Vortman just did, on surgical smoke. Even though I had nothing to do with it, it brings me such great joy, pride and joy for the people in the department and the college to, when they have something good happen to them, it brings me great joy. So I'm very humbled by the award and the honor, and I thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I think I speak for the collective faculty when I say Barbara, Sue, Alicia, and Colleen, we are incredibly proud of you, and we thank all of you for the gifts that you've given to us as your colleagues. We truly are proud to call you our colleagues. So I'd like to thank all of you for attending today, this award presentation and celebration, whether you're here in person or via Zoom. I'd like to remind you that the nomination forms for next year are available on the website. Look on the College Insider under Faculty and Staff Resources. For those of you who have joined us virtually, have a wonderful evening and thank you for joining us. And I invite all of you who are here in person to join us for a reception on the first floor. And once again, congratulations to our wonderful award recipients, and thank you for joining us today.